Locked on Bulls. On today's episode, we're going to be breaking down the Bulls win and getting back in the win column against the Boston Celtics, how Zach LaVine responded to some criticism earlier on in last game, and then also, does P. Will deserve a larger role in this team? We're going to get into all that and more right after this. Pat, you got to hit the intro.
Oh, you don't have nothing. You don't have no. Hold on. Oh, dang.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network. I don't know where Haize went, but I am your host, Pat. He's back.
I'm your host, CEO Haize, and on today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and veteran therapists available 100% online. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's Pat, the designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central, and we got a dub to talk about. The Chicago Bulls get a win against the Boston Celtics, playing probably their most complete 4 quarters of basketball this season, winning the first, second, and third quarters, only losing the fourth quarter by 2 points. Pat, how do you feel about this game, brother?
It's a great bounce back win. It's a great win from the Bulls as a whole, right? I thought that they did a great job defensively for the entire game, not just in the first, second, and third quarter. I thought they did a great job defensively the entire game. I thought they came out and they played with intensity. And you know what? I thought they didn't get down on themselves. They didn't hurt themselves, or they didn't have hurt feelings over them missing shots early on in that game, because the shots weren't falling in that game early on, right?
For neither team. The first 6 shots of the game overall were all bad misses, but yeah.
It was wild, bro. It was crazy to see. But I think at the end of the day, right, the biggest thing that we saw from this Bulls team was them stick to their principles. And you know what? I got to give credit to Billy Donovan where credit is due. I heard him talking the post-game show, and he said, we had a higher level of communication in this game. And with the stuff that we're trying to implement with this team, you have to have a higher level of communication. So I thought Billy Donovan did a really good job. I'll be honest with you, right? Outside of everything else, is this Billy Donovan's best coached game this season?
Yes.
I really felt like that.
No, I'll say the second game against the Toronto Raptors was his best coach game.
That was a good game, too. I'll give you that.
But this is very close to that. They're kind of 1A, 1B in best coach games.
You know what? I don't know, though, because Billy also kind of just had a hot hand going against the Raptors. This is a game where I felt like Billy actually had to coach. There was moments where this game was actually close, right? And even when the Bulls started to give up a lead, you saw him what was that?
Best challenge he's ever had in his career, too.
Best challenge. I also, right, we finally saw the guy. Can we blame Billy on some of these challenges if there's literally a dude with a laptop saying, that looks like the play? Did you see the dude when they start throwing the towels? I don't know if we can, it's literally, first off, that's got to be the hardest job in all of sports.
Oh, for sure, because you have a split second to make that decision.
That's harder than football. You have longer time in football between plays than you have in basketball. That's got to be the hardest job in all of sports right now, outside of actually playing, of course. But I thought this was the best game Billy Donovan coached. I thought this was the best we saw of this Bulls team as a whole. And I thought, right, defensively, you saw a team where the young guys were stepping up defensively as a whole. Ayo Dosunmu did a great job on Jaylen Brown. Although Jaylen did mix him a couple times. Did a great job on Jaylen Brown. And Patrick Williams did a great job on Jason Tatum all night. I applaud you, Chicago Bulls. This is not a fluke win.
No, this was somebody asked over when I was doing the live stream over on Central. They asked, did the Celtics lose this game or the Bulls win this game? Adamantly, the Bulls won this game. Go ahead.
What?
They didn't watch the game. They admitted. They said they didn't watch the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they didn't.
I thought we had to Russell Westbrook that.
No. They didn't watch the game.
Bro, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no, they didn't get to watch the game. But I love the way that the Bulls play. I love the energy. I love the rebounding in this game
Yeah.
Not even just Drummond and Vooch both did their things, combining for 25 rebounds. They did their thing. But outside of that, this is the first game that I saw it seemed like the team rebounded well on those long rebounds. When you look at it, everybody who checked into this game but Goran Dragic registered a rebound this game. I don't think we've ever had a game that's happened before. This season.
This season, yeah, that might be a fact. Actually, I thought the Bulls did a really good job, like you said, on the boards. And here's the thing, right? Like the two things we can say that I think are facts here is that the Bulls have a clear advantage over the Boston Celtics. The Celtics have lost 4 games this season, right?
Yeah,
2 to the Bulls, 2 to the Cavs. Both teams have a clear advantage over the Celtics. And I think, honestly, right, even if Robert Williams does come back, whenever he does come back, the Bulls will still have that clear advantage because they have more guys that can get down in the paint and do that dirty work. But
this is true.
Do you think that this is a game where we finally saw the Bulls take advantage of an advantage that they have? We've seen some. I mean, listen, you played a game against Jokic where Jokic took 6 shots and scored 8 points. You know what I mean? But you weren't able to take advantage of those miscues there. I feel like, right, like you saw a team tonight come out, do a lot of what they've done defensively for 4 quarters, of course, but taking advantage of a mismatch that was a clear mismatch on the rebounding side. Not going, I don't know if they went enough to Vooch in the post for my liking. I will say that. And even Billy Donovan talked about, right, like when they did go to Vooch, now you also have to play it right. Like when they did go to Vooch, Vooch was dominating. And then the Celtics were like, send 4 people at him. So that's going to play a little bit of a difference there, but I thought that they took advantage of a clear advantage that they had tonight, and that was one of the things that I love from this team.
Yeah, I mean the team just it just was a different level of purpose out there, right? And that's why I compared it to the second Toronto Raptors game, because you saw early in that second Toronto Raptors game, the Bulls attack the defense and not letting them set up. They didn't do the same game plan against this one, but they executed their game plan, and you could tell early on what they were trying to do, and they did that very well. You could tell Zach LaVine was trying to set the tone as well with his play, and while he didn't shoot the ball the most efficiently as we're used to seeing Zach LaVine be when he's on, I feel like that dunk that Zach LaVine had was literally the therapy that he needed to just get through it. And we saw Zach LaVine play a game that he had 5 assists, 5 rebounds. He moved the ball. There were a couple of times, Stacey King pointed out that he missed passing the ball to a big that had the mismatch on him. But outside of that, I say Zach definitely looked to set up his other teammates, but he also looked for his shot, looked to get to the free throw line. This was a game that was good to see overall. The Bulls team just came in with a level of just focus that we've been missing this season in a lot of ways.
I think you saw a weird level of comfort, right? And I know that's crazy to say against the Boston Celtics, but this is a team that we played great every time we played them.
Yeah.
The first game, right, the first quarter.
Back to last season, too.
Yeah, back to last season, too, right? Like, we've played them great every time we played them. This is a team that the Bulls really match up well against, and they come out and fight tooth and nail against. And the thing is, right, like, when you turn them into a three-point shoot, when you got Marcus Smart just taking, like, Marcus Smart took, like, 5 3-pointers in a row. I was like, what is he doing? But when you force them into those kind of shots, right, you're doing something well defensively. And the Bulls, again, come out. I have to praise the defensive effort. And I think, right, here's the tough part about this, and I know this is going to be a hard take after seeing a lot of the basketball we've seen over this losing streak. Mm-hmm. They didn't do anything different than they've done in every game in this in this losing streak. They just did it for 4 quarters.
Well, okay, if that's what you're going to say, yeah. I mean,
they just did it for 4
quarters. They did it for 4 quarters. Yeah.
But I think, right, like, that should be the minimum. Right? Like, hey, you got to play basketball 4 quarters. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Right.
If we can just get to the point where that's what we're at, like we can play basketball for 4 quarters and we can do that consistently, this team can go on a nice little run on this West Coast trip versus some teams that are struggling, by the way. The Warriors lost tonight. Now, they didn't play anybody, but the Warriors continue to keep losing. So that's going to be an interesting game to see what happens in that. But I think that, right, like the Bulls, not to say that I'm fully like right back in, right? Like the 6-game losing or the 5 out of 6 losses definitely just happened.
Yeah. And
you lost some concerning games in there. But I mean, I'll ask you this. Do you feel like Billy Donovan's message was sent and that this team will be able to continue to respond in this way?
As of right now, yes. And like I said over on Central, this was a great first stepping stone. But we need to see this, and not necessarily it translate to wins, but we need to see this style of play, this level of focus transcend a couple of different games, but I do think this was a great first step in that direction. They do it at home before they head out on the road. The first game on the road is still kind of an at-home game against Milwaukee.
Right? They get to come home and sleep in their own bed before they fly out.
Yeah. But
or do you take the easy flight out of Milwaukee Airport? Like, that's a much easier flight.
That's very true. So yeah, I think this is a great first step in that. We need to see more of this before we say, hey, the Bulls are back. But this is a great first step and a great palate cleanser for the fans and the players before they go out on that road trip as well. So
yeah, for sure.
So, so next up, we're going to be talking about Zach LaVine in the way that he responded to some adversity. But first, I got to talk to you guys about Turo. Turo is the world's largest car sharing marketplace. With Turo, you can book any car you want, wherever you want it, from a community of local hosts. Browse a huge selection of vehicles for just about any occasion or budget across the U.S., U.K., Canada, and coming soon to Australia. Book a spacious SUV or minivan for a family trip. Get a classic or luxury car for a special event, birthday, or holiday, which my birthday is coming up. I may have to do that. Find affordable economy cars if you're on a budget and just need to get from A to B. Test drive the new electric vehicle you've had your eye on to see how it fits your everyday life. Many Turo hosts can even deliver the car right to you. Every trip is backed by liability insurance. Terms and conditions and exclusions apply. Forget boring car rentals and find your drive at Turo.com.
We want to thank you guys for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. For your second listen today, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insight that only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Absolutely. All right, brother. So, Zach LaVine, a lot has been made about his comments from post-game after last game, the relationship with Billy Donovan. He did come out earlier today and say him and Billy Donovan are good. People are kind of overblowing it. He even said that he kind of understood the decision, which would have been nice how he said that, had he said that initially instead of what he said. But nonetheless, it did come out and he said it. How do you feel about how Zach LaVine responded to being benched in the fourth quarter of last game?
Here's the thing, and I said this over on the Breeze, right, when we were doing the live call today. Zach LaVine's been hasn't been benched for shooting poorly before. And I go back and I rewatch all of these games after because I live call them and I just like hearing Stacey King call the game. So I rewatched the game I saw with Stacey. Mm-hmm. And when you watch Zach in that game, Zach was atrocious offensively. Zach was atrocious defensively. He was offering nothing to the offensive end of the ball. He wasn't passing the ball well. He was causing turnovers. He was throwing like he played a really, really bad basketball. Zach LaVine got benched because Zach LaVine didn't look like the leader of this team. Today, I know Zach LaVine's scoring isn't right like the 28 points we've come to expect. But Zach LaVine today looked like he responded to that. Zach LaVine was involved in the passing game, throwing a couple of dimes. Zach LaVine was involved defensively, stepping up really nice on a couple of drives down at the basket. He was the point of attack sometimes on the defensive end, and he stood there and took that. He was getting downhill. He was attacking the bucket. I thought Zach LaVine did everything he could to make the Chicago Bulls better. Not just Zach LaVine's game, but the Chicago Bulls played better around Zach LaVine. And you know what? I got to give him credit. And listen, he's got to knock down the shots. But Zach LaVine found P. Will in a lot of good spots. Mm-hmm. A lot of good spots. And P. Will was able to take advantage of them, of course. But I thought that Zach really opened up the game for the team around him to rally around him. And this is probably the first game in a long time where, to me, I left this game and I was like, Zach LaVine looked like he was the leader of the Chicago Bulls.
That's a very apt and poignant statement there, brother. And yeah, I mean, to this point, like not only just shooting the ball, but every time we needed a big basket, as well as as bad as Zach shot the ball at points in this game, he just made the right decision with the ball. Yeah. A couple of times he did. Nothing's 100%, right? I'm not saying that as an absolute, but like,
and he's not. He's a shooter. Sometimes he's gonna be like, "Hey, can I make this?" and jack it up. Like that's what you get with a shooter. But DeMar does it every play.
every time though we needed a big bucket, almost every time that the Boston Celtics started building some momentum, it was Zach LaVine who hit a shot or did a. I really wish the NBA would start tracking the hockey assists. because I feel like Zach had a bunch of those in this game as well.
Yeah. He did a great job moving the ball. I thought he just did a great job getting the team involved as a whole. And I thought that here's the thing: the team still got to knock down shots. I thought the team stepped up around him really well. It could be that the team just played really well as a whole in this game. But like if you're gonna have a bounce back game, and I think the best way to have a bounce back game in this situation, right? It's not like Zach LaVine came out here and shot, 18 for 20 tonight. What did he shoot? He shot 8 for 20 tonight, right?
8 for 20. Yep.
8 for 20 tonight. That's not a great shooting night. That's not what he had 22 points on 8 for 20 shooting. That's not a great shooting night for you. But everybody else elevated their game around what Zach was able to do. Zach was able to find guys down low. Zach was making the right decision. Zach was trying to force I felt like at times Zach was the one person that understood, Zach and I guess I could say, that Vooch was the mismatch.
Mm-hmm.
There were times where he picked up his dribble. He was trying to force the ball into Vooch. It's Jaylen Brown, go. Or it's Marcus Smart, go. Oh, no, Marcus Smart stood Vooch up. Shout out to Marcus Smart. That's a strong boy. But I thought that, he understood at points in his game, my shot's not falling. And guess what? When it did, he went off.
Yeah.
And he was able to knock down tough shots. He was able to knock down the open three. He was and that's kind of what you have to do. It's not about just being a dominant scorer every play up and down the court. But Zach has so many skills that there's so many times that when you watch him, he doesn't utilize them. And I think that's the part where we want to see him do that more.
Yeah, I mean, Zach if Zach can grow as a playmaker, right? And I'm not expecting Zach LaVine to average 8 and 10 assists per game, but I mean grow as far as just the decision making, and not making some of those bad decisions in tight games in fourth quarters that we see. It's going to open up not only the game for him a little bit more, but for his teammates, and that's what takes you from being a really good player to the leader of a team, is when you can operate and create things for other people. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction for Zach. Zach did talk about in the offseason how he knows he needs to step up his game as he did get that contract. We haven't seen it thus far this season, but hopefully this is a step in the right direction for Zach and the team overall.
Yeah, and I think, keep doing this. Zach has his best games when everybody else is playing well.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of a sudden, you can't just focus on Zach LaVine's step back three. You can't just focus on him attacking the bucket. All of a sudden, now P. Will's finding you on a cut, or Kobe White's finding you on a cut for you to come through and buggy whip a jam on somebody's head, right? Those are the things where you look at Zach LaVine and you go, oh my God, this dude's a next level player. This dude's a $215 million player. When he's making his teammates better and his teammates are allowing him open lanes to get to the bucket. I think that's what we saw more so in this game than we've seen in most games this season. Probably any game this season outside of maybe his 30-point game. And listen, I think as he starts to find his groove, as he starts to find his rhythm, hopefully he'll be able to keep this up versus the Bucks. I think this will be the first time we're playing the Bucks this healthy since we've had this team, right? We've never played the Bucks this healthy. Zach was down or DeMar was down. Now, do we have an update on Dragic? I know Dragic came back, but he did not get much more run outside of that second quarter.
Yeah, I don't see anything official on Dragic. I actually looked at that right before we started recording. I don't see anything. Let me see if I see anything now. Doesn't seem like anything significant has come out, but it seemed like it may have just been the hamstring was still bothering him a little bit. That's why he got back out the game. He's probably going to be ready.
Was it the hamstring? I saw him hold his shoulder as he left.
The first time he left, he held his shoulder. The second time he was rubbing his
he was rubbing it. So he was it was old man night. So maybe Dragic might not play in the next game versus the Bucks. He had an old man night. That's what it was. Yeah. But even that, right? You don't got to get ready if you stay ready. Kobe White got ready, or at least he stayed ready. Kobe White came out and did an excellent job stepping in for Goran Dragic in the
his
second
passing. Listen, Kobe White's passing has drastically improved. And while he didn't shoot the ball too well, and I know anybody who's a box score watcher is going to say, hey, Kobe had another terrible game. And that's fair because most times you're used to Kobe not doing things outside of shooting. But
he do be missing some shots. He be missing wide open jump shots.
Kobe's passing, his weak side defense, his off the ball defense were solid throughout this game.
I'll say this. Kobe White, and I thought he played really well through this game. I thought he did a great job defensively, especially against Marcus Smart. Yeah. But I will say this. Kobe White is the final shot a lot of times on a great ball movement sequence from the Chicago Bulls.
Bro.
And he never
kills
hits
me
it.
every time.
I'm talking about like Io whips it to
Every
the corner.
time.
Zach's got it. Two-hand touch. P. Will literally grabs it like this, flings it to Kobe White. He's wide open. Nobody's around him. And it hits off the side of the rim. Like, it just hurts, bro. It hurts.
Yeah. It's like Kobe almost needs a hand in his face. Like,
Bro, yeah. He can knock that one down. He
Yeah.
can knock that one down. Or it comes to him and like somebody's closing out, but they're like way too far, and then he pump fakes and drives into a defender. It's like, what you think was gonna happen right there, brother? Like, come on, bro. Like, come on. Oh man. Hey, we got to get into this final topic though. But before we do that, we want to tell you guys about LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Here's the thing. Even me, right? Like just starting up the new gig. Y'all already know about all that, right? LinkedIn Jobs was just able to find it. They found me. They reached out to me. They offered me some money. I went over there. You know what I mean? LinkedIn Jobs doing a great job there. I mean, listen, it's very simple, especially if you want to be the person finding somebody to go get. All you got to do is go in there, add your job and the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. That's why small business rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply.
all right. Well, seems like conditions apply to Patrick Williams being able to stay in the game in crunch time. Like, I don't know what conditions those are. Would you say that Patrick Williams played a pretty darn good game today, Pat?
I would say Patrick Williams played. I'm trying to think. He might have played his most meaningful game of basketball here. In the
Especially
NBA,
probably his best two-way game of his career, for sure.
I'm trying to think of a better one. Maybe his rookie year he had one. Didn't he? Rookie year, I think he had a great game against Kevin Durant. Maybe that.
You know what? I do remember that.
I feel like I remember him having a great game
I
against
feel
Kevin
like
Durant. So maybe I'm stretching it a little bit, but I thought he played one of his best games of his NBA career.
For sure. So why is it that it seems like Billy Donovan, and don't get me wrong, Alex Caruso played a pretty darn good game today too. Shooting the ball, one of the best. He's putting now together two really good shooting games, has Alex Caruso, and hopefully that continues. But one thing that we did see down the stretch of this game again was Alex Caruso being taken advantage of with size and length. Why was not Patrick Williams in that game? And what is it going to take for Patrick Williams to earn a larger role on this team? Because Patrick Williams now has put together about 5 or 6 solid games defensively. He's been growing offensively at 17-4-1 in this game. What does Patrick Williams need to do to be in there in crunch time, Pat?
I don't know. Because, right, like for me, right, when guys show you that they have opportunity, and more times than not when Billy Donovan, when they show you they're doing a good job and they've given you that opportunity, you leave them out there. And Billy's done that a lot, right? Like Javonte played well in the fourth. He left Javonte out there.
Yeah.
I don't know what P. Will has to do to stay on the court. I mean, he only played 25 minutes tonight. I'm pretty sure he probably surprised everybody in that building with how he played. I think Marcus Smart pissed him off, actually. I don't know if y'all saw the sequence. I talked about it over on the Breeze when we were doing the call.
But this one thing that frustrates me too. Marcus Smart gets away with a lot of
Oh
push-offs.
my God,
bro! It frustrates me so much.
I think he pissed him off, bro, because like Marcus Smart came down, missed the shot that P. Will defended well. P. Will grabbed the rebound, and it looked like Marcus Smart like smacked him. And then P. Will like passes the ball out, and as he passes the ball out, you see him just like to Marcus Smart. I was like, you just punch Marcus Smart? Like, that's a big dude. Like, if P. Will hits you, it looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
And then, right, like Marcus Smart does like the whole, like he runs down the court and then coming back the other way. Remember, like P. Will and Marcus Smart end up laying on the floor, tripped up. Yeah. He's trying to get a call. Like, I really wasn't. I was like, this P. Will showing a little bit of a, and after that he went off. He just started cooking that man. But I thought that to me, tonight was a game in P. Will's career that you needed to let him keep going. You needed to let him. I thought this was a good night to build some confidence. If I have any negatives on Billy Donovan tonight, and Alex Caruso played great, like you said, I didn't hate the lineup he put in there, right? It was more of an offensive lineup with Zach LaVine out there. I think Caruso's out there, DeMar, Vooch, and maybe Ayo was out there, I think, or maybe Kobe White, one of them. And it was more of an offensive lineup with basically just a small ball defender on them. I don't always understand it. The only thing that I can say maybe your reasoning is on that is that P. Will is not fast.
Yeah.
Like none of his movements are quick. None of his movements are attacking quick. Even on the defensive end, he's not fast. Like he just catches up to you, and when he runs into you, you can't go anywhere. So that's the only thing that I can think maybe is the reason why you're not seeing him when Billy goes with that smaller ball lineup for more offense.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. There's no reasoning behind it. 6 for 9, 17 points at that point, 4 boards. He was playing great defensively.
Patrick Williams the lateral quickness that you point out can be the only thing that you can really rationalize why P. Will isn't out there at times, especially against smaller lineups. But P. Will I just can't understand why he wasn't in crunch time in this game. He played. What more do you want him to do? That's the biggest question
from me.
Oh, all right. Here we go with it. Once you get the Tyrese reference, you know it's a heck of a night. But
or it's just a regular Locked On Bulls night.
That's true too. That is very true.
It's not the worst reference we've had on this show.
Oh no, I mean, come on. We've referenced some things.
We've referenced some things on this show. I'll tell you right now. You'll see.
What I'll say is this, is that I love seeing this game from P. Will, and I love seeing the confidence from him. I love seeing Patrick Williams. Did you see the time where he took Jason Tatum off the dribble? And I was just like, all right, young fella. All right.
When he hit Jason Tatum with that snatch back, it wasn't nothing over there. Yeah. Hey, Tatum, and it was quick too. It ain't like Tatum got like crossed out of his mind, but it was just like snatch, step, bow. Yeah, I mean, it was like,
yeah.
Who's that dude? Like, there's only been 4 or 5 moments this season where we've really looked at it and been like, oh, he's been working with DeMar.
Yeah. That was definitely one of them. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I hope that P. Will can start getting out in those clutch situations, because I do think when in crunch time, that is also how you help develop somebody. And I think if Patrick Williams has to be out there and realize like, hey, I can't make a mistake on this drive, this play, that is going to continue to help his development as well.
I think the biggest question that I can ask with P. Will, right, like, is there just because he did a great job on Tatum, he like all game, like Tatum really did not. What did Tatum shoot tonight? Tatum, of course, he Tatum did at
9 for 19 from Jason Tatum, 19 shots, to 28 points,
28 points, but
and 11.
The 28. He played well, right? But I think going into that like last little stretch of the fourth where he hit the 4-point play and stuff like that, he had 20 points through 3 quarters, very un-Jason Tatum like, right? So I think the biggest question with P. Will is just like, is it a matchup issue? Is it a speed issue? Like, what is it that's keeping it? Or is it just you want to go with the vet in that moment with the small ball lineup? Like, I don't get what it is at this point. And I think there's a lot of teams that and I think we've seen a lot of teams throughout this losing streak that doesn't work against, right? Like, it worked tonight versus Tatum because Tatum was off. But didn't work against Brandon Ingram, didn't work against Michael Porter, didn't work, you know what I mean? Like, didn't work against I don't even remember Bol. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what more we need to see from P. Will that we haven't seen that says, hey, at a minimum, he's 6'7" and can play defense.
Yeah, I mean, Great point there. I don't know either. But I mean, at the end of the day, P. Will's doing what's in his control, right? He's not under control of when the coach puts him in the game or takes him out. But P. Will's taking advantage of every minute he's out there lately, and it's good. P. Will is really, really like when we look back at it, what P. Will has done this season as far as like just building his confidence back up, right? From playing the 12 to 15 to 15 and going back up to 20 plus minutes per game. They've done a really good job of building his confidence back up, and he's putting together a heck of a season.
And he looks really good. I think he looks the best that we've seen him look. I think you have to find a way to continue to allow him to do more. And I think that's just time on the court. I mean, how many times have we asked this season, like, why isn't P. Will in this game?
Yeah.
It's just time on the court. I mean, even in games he's played, like the Denver game, he was playing pretty well versus MPJ. Now, MPJ was still sparking everybody up, but he was playing probably the best on MPJ. He had 15 and 4, 6 for 9, very similar to tonight. 17, but he played 26 minutes that night. Yeah. 25 minutes tonight. Like, that's the questions. Like, I don't, that's the one thing I don't get from Billy Donovan. It's the one thing I can't figure out from Billy Donovan is it, and I think, right, maybe that's just the adjustments part again that plays into it because he doesn't like to adjust. He likes to have his lineup set. He likes to have his lineups that he rolls with. He likes to do kind of like almost like a hockey a bench.
Yeah, he does like
you know what I mean? Like he's got, okay, this is my offensive lineup. Now this is my defensive lineup.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you need to change that up just a little bit. And maybe that's something he's got to work in, right? Maybe that's what part of this is. You got to work P. Will into those lineups to so that he's working with those guys.
This is true. So, I mean, we'll see. Hopefully it continues to develop for P. Will, and this team continues to build off this win into something even better in the future. But that is it for today, Pat. You got anything left, brother?
Nah, man. We'll be back tomorrow. Y'all know. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. Follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always, man.
Absolutely. You can follow me at CEO Haize, at CEO Haize. And thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Now for your next listen, check on Locked On Sports Today. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This is Locked On Bulls. We out, y'all. Peace.
Yeah.